Welcome to Salon Talks. I'm Melanie McFarland, and joining me today is the fabulous Miss Pat. Right now, Miss Pat has her new special streaming on Netflix. Miss Pat, can you tell us what it's called?
Y'all want to hear something crazy?
Thank you. I wanted you to say that because it's a very signature delivery. Can you talk about that? Why did you decide to call it that?
Because I said in my set, and I think, at first, when I first started talking about my family, I literally thought that, all families came up like that. So as I got older, I realized, hey, everybody mama didn't cook in the chimney. So people tell me that these are crazy stories, how, the stuff in the set, how I got baptized 25 times, pay all bills. And so I was like, and I just started saying throughout the set, y'all want to hear something crazy? And as I said it, it ended up being the name of the set. So, and I think it was great. It was very catchy. And it's really me telling a bunch of crazy stories.
You tell a lot of crazy stories in your previous sets too. I mean, you appeared on The Degenerates on Netflix. And so I think that may be a way that people got to know you. But these stories, you told a lot of stories about your kids. You've told some stories about, just growing up and the houses you were in, but this is very personal to you with Y'all Want to Hear Something Crazy. And I think that makes it a little bit different. And I feel like when you say that, it loosens people up to kind of listen to what you're telling them.
Well, I'm about to take you on a wild story. I talk about growing up in a bootleg house, dealing with my special need uncle, and people was like, what the heck? And I'm like, well, I can't make this stuff up. So this is how I grew up, and I try to paint a picture so I can bring you in my world. And I used to say this line, like, white people buck up, I'm about to take you on a Negro field trip, because it seemed like they would get so uncomfortable. Oh my God, because I try to find the funny in the most darkest, deepest stuff I can. And so I take the darkest things and I want to make it funny, because, especially stuff that bother you, like abuse and molestation. And I turn all of that, even at the end of my set, I said that I try to turn all of that into something funny. Mm-hmm. And I want people to be able to laugh at what they've been through in life so they can have control over it. You can't change the past, so why cry about it?
Mm-hmm. That, I think one of the things that makes your comedy so special, there are many things, but there's this whole idea of what comedy should be and what constitutes dark in comedy. I think that there's the way that I was talking about this with my husband who watched it with me. And he was like, there's this whole constellation of what's okay in comedy, and then it moves in towards the black hole and people get around the edges. And he was like, this is someone who's like, let's map the black hole. Let's get in there and really talk about it. So people can kind of normalize this in their lives. And like you said, take power over it. And specifically the fact that you are a woman having this conversation is meaningful.
Yeah, it's challenging because, I have a gay daughter, and, it's hard to talk about gay America. And I know I get away with it, or it's more comfortable with me because, once, I'm a woman, two, my child is gay. So I'm looking at it from a mom, a Black mother who has a gay daughter, how we know how Black people treat the gays in the Black community. It wasn't accepted. And I tell you that. I don't hide anything. I don't sugarcoat anything. I was not down for the gayness. I've seen gay people, gay women I had a problem with. And I used to say early on in my set, a lot of times what you don't like, God will put in your life so you can open your mind. And so I had to realize that I was in an abusive relationship and people accepted that. And my daughter, I'm gonna throw my daughter away because we don't like the same thing. And I just had to open my mind, and I realized, oh, they all the same. My daughter go out and get lazy women the same way I used to have lazy men in my life. It's no different, child. It's no different. They like chocolate. I like vanilla.
That's I want to go back to just use a term that you use a lot in your set, which is open your mind. And you say it at points where we can't see what the audience is reacting, but you can see through you that people are kind of like, all right, is that when you Is that something like you were just like, open your mind, you can see it, and it's like you make it okay?
You know, because I can see the drawback when I'm talking about, when we was kid and we had to help my special need uncle have sex and what the open your mind. Okay, they need love too. When I'm talking about having to, give breastfeeding at 14, people know these things goes on in the world, but these are things that people don't want to talk about. They want to brush them up under the rug. They want to act like they don't exist. Where I'm a comic and I bring it in your face and I tell you, hey, I'm over here. This stuff is real. It happens every day and it's still happening. Poverty is real. I've been at comedy club and I had this one white man say, I didn't come here to hear your problems. I said, well, you came to the wrong show. So people don't like to face, reality. Like they're here. Like when I wrote my book, Rabbit, people's like, I live in Atlanta and I never knew there was going on. So when it hits you in the face, you can't deny it. You know it's real. So you can't say, oh, people don't live like that. Nobody's doing this. Nobody's doing that. But I'm on stage telling you, hey, this stuff is real. So, and I think that's why I say open your mind, because you got a blockage there. You want to act like it's not real. You know what I'm talking about. People know what I'm talking about when I say I licked the TV because I was hungry and I wanted to eat the Burger King. You know what I'm talking about. You've been there, but people change, people grow up and they financial change and their life change and they want to act like these things don't exist. Well, I've cussed out my niece 4 kids. And before I had cussed out my sister kids and I went on about my business. And when those kids hit me back in the face, my new sets of crack, baby, I was like, oh my God, people still not taking care of their kids? Reality kicked in. So people don't like when reality kick in. Some people don't.
I gotta tell you, I watched this with my husband, who's also a therapist. And so when he was watching this, he was just kind of like, it took a minute. Like I was watching him as much as I was watching the set. And we had to pause and be like, how are you doing? I said, I had to give clarity to him, like, so how are you doing? And he was saying, like, this is not the stuff that I laugh at. And I said, but then when he would say, that's why I was remarking on when you're saying open your mind. I think that there is this tendency to, there's a self-policing in terms of laughter, for good reason, I think. But you're someone who is inviting someone to take it as an example and not to laugh at your situation as something that's necessarily comical. And that's a fine line to walk. I'm wondering how you kind of found that line.
I do it with a smile because it's okay. One thing I realized when I became a comic and I started to get real person in my life, I did not want you to feel sorry for me. It's nobody's fault what I went through. Each one teach one, hurt people. I come from a background of what my mama gave me, what was given to her. Fortunately, I was able to break the cycle and not give it to my kids, but it's a cycle. It started with my grandmama, probably before that, and it went all the way up to my mama, and it stopped with me. So I just wanted to, it was like therapy, really, to be honest with you, standing on that stage, telling those stories and realizing I'm not the only one. It was mind blowing to me. So each time I can make a person laugh about the darkest things in their life, it's a healing for me, and I hope it's a healing for them. I remember one time, and I don't know if I tell this big, I was talking about being molested, and it was a white female, and she came up to me and she said, usually when I hear molestation jokes, I leave. And I said, why? She said, because my daddy touched me, but you actually made me laugh at one. And I realized, maybe I can look at this in a different eye. And I tell people, I don't dwell on anything I can't change. I can't change the past. But oh boy, can't you take control by finding the laughter in it?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's healing. It's when you can laugh at it or when you can lighten up about this situation, you let go. I used to hate my mama because she didn't protect me. I hated my kid's father because he was 9 years older than me. I met him at 12. He was 22, beat me, shot me. But then I had to realize when you hate something or somebody, the hate will control you. And I had to let him go. And so I started telling all these crazy stories about how he shot me in the back of the head. It wasn't his fault. It was my fault because I ducked slow. Which people like, whoa, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, he shot me in the back of the head. And he was like, you just said it so calmly. Because I've forgiven, I've moved on, and I found the funny in it.
Yeah, you definitely incorporate that into your TV show too. And I really want people to watch this TV show. I blew through it. I was singing the theme song all over the house. You know, there's something about it that is, and I think you've said this before, that Norman Lear actually said, this is the show that I wanted to make, what that I wanted All in the Family to be. But I actually, so I'm going to ask you a question about an ongoing comedy situation, but it has a point that relates to the show. Your show's been compared to Roseanne. Your show's been compared, you know, people, you've said before, like there's some Martin in it. Someone actually, I think, brought up Rock, you know, all of those different shows, Bernie Mac, all of those different shows go back not just to Roseanne, but the same producer who did Roseanne also brought us The Cosby Show. And The Cosby Show, I think, you know, it did influence every single family sitcom that came afterward, the same way that Norman Lear brought us to The Cosby Show. The thing that I think that's interesting about the Miss Pat show is that it takes all those same things that I think that Bill Cosby wanted as a producer, but strips the respectability politics out of it. In that you have everything where it's like, you have people that you're confronting saying like, why do you assume that I'm a single mom? You know, why do you assume that I don't have, you know, that, you know, we're unemployed, or why are you assuming these things? And I'm wondering if you guys had conversations about that, about here are the things we want to do to actually kind of counteract this whole, because respectability politics is in so much storytelling, but it's also it's still in our conversation. And a lot of it dated back to The Cosby Show, just in terms of what that taught us and everything going forward.
Well, when we came up the episodes, and I'm gonna be honest, they're probably 95 to 98% true in my life. The episode you're talking about when the teacher assumed that I was a single parent, that really happened to me when I moved to my neighborhood. And along with the guy who created it, we just got together and said, we want to talk about stuff in real forms, like real conversation. When you go home and you take off your wig or you pull off your eyelash, how do people really talk? You know, not this scripted stuff like, how you doing today, baby? What did you cook? No, we want to have a real conversation where I tell my son to get the hell out of my face, where I sat down and we talk. We that's what we wanted to bring to the table. And I think that's what we did. And that conversation with, you know, the whole thing about being a single parent in my neighborhood, for some reason, they thought I was a single parent because I was a Black woman registering my kids, or I was a Black woman at the dentist, and they just assumed, you know, and I'm like, did I tell you I was a single parent? You know, but that's what society tells them. And we just brought it to the front for, and we to the table and say, let's do an episode about this. I mean, even with the what is it? Nutrigender?
Oh, sometimes gender fluid or non-binary. Right. Yeah.
Yes, non-binary. A kid like that came to my house and I wasn't familiar with it at all. That was the first time I ever heard of that. And the kid parents didn't accept it. And I just told the story to, you know, the creator, and we wrote an episode. It was my daughter's friend. And I don't know if it was a boy or girl. She wouldn't allow me to say boy or girl, but which was very confusing to a 40-some-year-old woman who it was only, you either was gay or you either was lesbian. That's all we know. Now we got 10 other, you know, categories you can be in now. So a lot of those stories just came from my everyday life, and we want to discuss. I mean, we're going to write an episode about why do Black people vote Democrat?
Yeah,
we doing stuff like, you know, what do you think of what people think that we wear black hair, I mean wigs, because we don't like who we are up under there. No, I'm going to really break it down to you in the episode. So, you know, we just want to touch stuff that everybody else been scared to touch.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also really important that you, and people pointed this out, that you left all the curse words in. And I'm wondering if you got any push. No, I think it is. Because I mean, look, when this camera is off and I don't walk around saying, well, Florin, you know, it's just what life is. But I'm wondering if you got any pushback as you were selling the show.
No, well, the creator came up with let her be herself. And I was like, because we was originally on Fox and then we moved over to the other part of Fox and then Hulu ended up shooting the pilot. And I was like, they're never gonna let me talk like me. He's like, somebody gonna let you talk like you. And it had never been done before. And so when it came out, people was like, oh my God, this is not a representation of a Black family. And I'm like, you're lying. You know your mama talk like that, whether you're Black, Puerto Rican, Asian, somebody got a Miss Pat in their life. If it's not your mama, it's the auntie, it's the friend, it's the somebody, the uncle. And in the beginning, we did get some pushback. We really did. Oh my God, they're saying the N-word. When you take off your hat or you go in the house and you let your boobs down, you say it too. So stop playing. If you in corporate America, no, you cannot say it. But who knows what you do on the weekend? Don't play with me. And so, and I will fight back on. I was a few of them that I went, but I have this group on Facebook called Miss Pat Crack Babies. And if you say anything about me, they come like trolls, baby. And it's a bunch of middle-aged white women and men and Blacks and everybody. And they come after you. And we fought a lot of battles on internet because it was like, she's ghetto. That's not a representation of the Black family. I said, everybody don't have a mama like the Cosby's mama. I'm not her, okay? I'm me. And after a while, the people started to jump on and they stayed on. And they was like, finally, something real on TV.
I'm going to ask this because it's also something that is in the conversation right now and keeps on coming up. There's been a lot of conversation around what's been going on with Joe Rogan in terms of saying the N-word. You have an entire episode that's not about that, but it's about the like who can say it, under what context, that kind of thing. And I'm just curious to know, like, in this whole conversation that's going on now, and whenever it comes up, what would you tell people who are like, Miss Pat, what do I do?
You know, me and Joe Rogan is really good friends. I've done his podcast several times. And, you know, first of all, that's a string of videos been stringed together to make him look like he's just saying it over and over and over and over again. You know, that's just not one video. Somebody took the time to put all of those videos together to say he was saying it. So I try to look at, the word racist is such a harsh word to me. Now, Joe Rogan said it's about 12 years ago. I will hope and pray that I know that everybody makes mistakes. And, you know, back in the day when he said he knew it was wrong back then, but I hope his mind is open more now. I know his mind is open more now where, you know, he came out and he gave an apology and I always hope that people change. You know, I don't think Joe Rogan is racist. Not the man that I spend a lot of time with is not racist. I didn't know Joe Rogan 12 years ago. You know, it's like I used to have this bit about I think we should all mix races because it's gonna be hard for your racist daddy to call the mixed grandbaby the N-word, and that's how you stop racism when it comes home to you. So I seen a post today that Joe Rogan has an adopted Black daughter. So you know, when people ask me about Joe Rogan, I said, that's not the Joe Rogan I know. And he asked for forgiveness and I forgave him. You know, hopefully he would never do it again. I don't think he would ever do it again. I wasn't aware that Joe Rogan had ever said it before. I'd done his podcast or before I ever became friends with him. But, you know, I've been knowing him now about 3-4 years. That's not the person that I know. Was it hurtful? It was. I was like, whoa. You know, not the man I sat across the table from, I had dinner with, had conversation with, never thought that, you know, he would have used that word. But, you know, people make mistakes.
Now, okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit. Thank you for that answer. But to be clear, this comes up with other people too. This comes up with any time, like I think Joe Rogan brought it to the fore right now, but it's certainly come up with other celebrities in Washington State. We just had Miss Teen Washington have a video come back to haunt her. So it happens. But I think the reason I brought that up is because there is an entire episode of the Miss Pat show where it discusses that. So part of it is like, what do you tell people? Because that's, that's a scripted process. I know you are a major part of that process, but I'm guessing people probably come up to you and, Trevor Noah was just saying the other night, when you go up to Black people, they don't have time to give you that answer. But I'm wondering if people actually do, it's like we have other things to worry about. But, I'm just wondering, like, when it does come up, if people ever ask you about it, since you do confront it in your set, and since you do have that, like that terminology in your set.
Well, you look at it like this. You really never surprised when somebody white used the N-word. If it doesn't really don't surprise Black America, because when your windows up in your car or you at your house, you say all kind of crazy crap. So, when white people are accused of saying the N-word, you be like, oh, they got you. That's pretty much how I look at it. You said it too loud. I mean, I was a little shocked to hear that Joe Rogan had used it, but as a friend and somebody that I know, I know he wouldn't do it again. And I spoke to him, and I'm not gonna throw him up under the bus. We all make mistakes. Did you grow from it, Joe? I hope you did. I really hope you did, and I know he did. So, I see people every day throwing him up under the bus, and to me, everybody deserves a second chance, except a murderer or a child molester.
Mm.
That's what I'm here. I'm here because I got a second chance. I'm a convicted felon. I've been through a lot in my life. I've done a lot of stuff, and I'm here today because the world gave me a second chance.
You actually do that really well I'm not going to keep you for much longer, but I do want to ask you about this. And also ask you a little bit about your second season, but you do that really well in your show. Like everybody there are moments where it's like, oh, she might be setting them up to be the villain, but they're redeemed. And I'm guessing that was really important to you in the writing process.
Yeah, because I wanted to show how the difference between younger people and what I was used to hearing and the mistakes I was making, and the kids was correcting me. Mama, you can't say this. And I'm like, well, when did they change that word? Or when was it not able for us? Because people, I tell you this, I bought a house this year in Atlanta, and the man came to close, an 80-year-old white man. He said, you are sophisticated African-American. Mm. Now, I could have said, you're racist as hell. But no, that man is stuck in a time, and nobody has ever corrected him. And so I gave him my number because this is how I am. I'm an open-minded person. And I've learned he just needs a friend. He needs somebody to talk to. So I told him, I said, look, you're going to have to stop calling me a sophisticated African-American. I'm not calling you a good white. Oh, I'm sorry, Patty. I'm sorry. I had a teacher email me from my kids' school here in Atlanta, way out towards Peachtree City, and tell me, y'all people need to talk to your daughter. And I picked up the phone and I said, sir, y'all people is very racist. I said, today you caught a good Black person. Tomorrow you might get popped in your mouth. So to me, it's about correcting people of what they're used to. When my daughter came out gay, I use the word bulldyker because I'm 50 years old. And my daughter said, Mama, saying bulldyker is like saying the N-word. So I don't say it anymore. But I didn't know that. So, hopefully people, and not saying that in 2011 years ago, Joe Rogan didn't know no better. He knew better, but it's the conversation he was having about the N-word, it wasn't towards hatred. He was just saying how only a certain type of people can use it. Well, it's still not your word to use, Mr. Rogan, and he knows that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I am hoping that more people come to your special and to your comedy through this, both ways, through your comedy special that you have on Netflix, come to your sitcom, Miss Pat, because I think Miss Pat is one of the best things on TV right now. And it actually is very
thank you.
No, it's real. I mean, it does what I think a good comedy does, which is it's very comforting. It's very much like, oh, it's like my family. And it gets us very emotionally invested. It rides the low points in the drama in some wonderful ways. And the cliffhanger, the emotional cliffhanger into season 2 really got me. I was like, that's it, you can't leave me here. But do you know when season 2 is coming out? I know it's still in production right now?
Yeah, we actually taping now. It starts we're looking at June, but don't hold me to that date. Hopefully June it'll be out.
Okay.
So June or July, sometimes like that. So
I'm
but
looking.
we get ready to tape the 4th episode. Oh,
Oh,
it's funny. It's if y'all had a ride the first season, you really about to get a ride this season.
what are some of the things that you're going to be talking about this coming season? That you can't, that's
a
not
lot. Well, it's a lot of family matters. We talks about just real conversations. What I would tell you, one is about Black hair and, about the things that goes on in Black families and our families, just everyday things. I can't give you too much of it away, but
I don't want you to. I want to be
hey.
surprised. But I'm looking forward to. I know
You would be
mentioned hair.
surprised.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So since I said it earlier, one is about Black hair, where you actually see you're gonna be very surprised about that one. That one.
I don't know that I'll be surprised.
Why?
I mean, I
know
know.
as far as we went with it, I don't ever think we've seen it go this far with Black hair. So I'm gonna be sure to look for you on Twitter to see what you think of episode, I think it's 4.
Okay. I don't tweet a whole lot, but I will tweet for that one.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Pat. This has been a delight, and I'm so glad we got to chat with you. And I hope that everybody watches the first season of the Ms. Pat Show, which is currently streaming on Paramount Plus, and the second season when it comes out, June, July, whenever. Please be on the lookout for it. And right now, go to Netflix and watch her new special. Do you want to say the title one more time?
Y'all want to hear something crazy?
Thank you. Y'all want to hear something crazy? See, I can't say it is like it's different coming out of your mouth. So thank you for doing that for me. Thank you for this conversation. This has been great.
Thank you so much.